Hello, this is Tim Callanan. I work for Anne Arundel Community College, and I'm going to be your Solidworks instructor this semester. I've been teaching Solidworks for about 5 years now, and the one thing that has been requested an awful lot are videos. Typically I might go a little bit fast in class, and I have an accent and it can be hard to understand sometimes, so a lot of students have asked me, Tim, do you mind making some videos? And the more videos I make, it seems to really help. So this is going to be SolidWorks lesson number 1. It's going to go over everything that I've covered in the first class. Note that these videos are supplemental, so you can't miss class and then just watch the video. This is just going over a lot of the stuff that I'm going to cover in class. Okay, sorry about this. Let me just get rid of that. Sorry about that. Hopefully this thing is recording still. Anyway, so the first thing I want to show you is how to. A lot of you are going to go home and you're going to want to install SolidWorks in your home computer. From the feedback that I get from students, it can be a little bit of a pain to install. It's going to take a little bit of time, but I'm going to show you a few of the steps that you need to do to actually install SolidWorks. The first thing you need to know is whether you have a 32-bit machine or a 64-bit machine. Now, how do you find that out? You can find that out now. I'm using Windows 7 here, but you need to somehow find, if you right click on my computer, it might be up there or here. You can go to properties. Okay, now I'm not showing you my computer because I have some IP address stuff that I don't want the world to know via YouTube. But anyway, go to computer, go to properties, and that will tell you whether you have a 32-bit or whether you will have a 64-bit, and that's important. I have a 64-bit machine, so I installed the 64-bit edition of SolidWorks. Now, I'm also using 2013. You're going to probably be using 2014. I want you to use the most up-to-date edition or up-to-date version that you can get. Now, what are you going to do first? You don't need to pay for SolidWorks. Because you're a student at AACC, you can download it for free, and we have a 364-day license for you. If you're at another college, you need to obtain something called an SDK ID from your instructor. So what are you going to do? You're going to go to Google, you're going to type in SolidWorks Education Download. So type that in Google or an internet browser or something, and the first link should be the student access form. Let's click on that. Now, up on my address here I have solidworks.com/SW/education/SDL_form.html. If you don't have that up there, you're in the wrong site, so you need to figure that out, or you can type it up there if you want it. And what if you type this in, where will it bring you? It'll bring you to the student access form. SolidWorks Student License Program Download Version. You have to fill out all the information. Are you an educator? You're a student. Stick in your name, Joe. Blogs. School name, Anne Arundel. Fill all this in correctly. Community College. School type, 2-year college. Major. Oh, let's have a look. It doesn't really matter. Mechanical. Month of graduation. It's 12 months from now, so what is it going to be? It's going to be August 2015. City, Arnold, Maryland. Postal code 21012. Country, USA. Version 2014 to 2015. Get the most up-to-date version. VAR name. You don't need to worry about that. Email address. Stick in the proper email. Stick in an email that you can access, because they're going to email you a code or something that you're going to have to put in. Make sure you put in the correct email. Now, school license ID, SDK ID. You're going to have to put in a number here. I'm going to give you that number. Okay, I'm going to write it down on your first day of class. Don't share it with anyone else on the internet. We have 50 people that we can give this out to a year, so it's limited. So keep it yourself. It's your SDK ID. Don't give it to anyone else. I'm going to give you this number, so don't worry about it. You'll have that number before you install this at home. Put in the right email address, click on request download. So what you're going to do is, hopefully you have a good internet connection at home, because it takes about 1 gigabyte of data. So it's going to take about a good, at least a half an hour to do this. If you don't have the internet at home, you can do this in the college. The other thing you could do is you could bring your laptop in to the college and download this at the college, but it's going to take a little bit of time. Once you download the entire file, then you're going to install it. Once you're installing it, it's going to ask for some sort of number. It's going to ask for some sort of code. Where is that code? It's going to be in your email address that you provided. And then you should hopefully install it. I have a feeling it's going to take like 2 to 3 hours to install Solidworks. It's worth it. In order for me to purchase Solidworks to do some commercial work with it, it could cost me $4,000 or $5,000. This is, you're getting a design package for a year, put up with a little bit of grief. It's going to take about 2 to 3 hours to install. So hopefully at this stage you have Solidworks installed at home, or you're going to use one of the Solidworks in the labs. So what are we going to do for this first? What are we going to do for this first lesson? I'm going to give you this PDF, and it's called Solidworks Lesson 1 Exercises. And all we're going to do is, for the first couple of weeks, we're going to just do 2D sketches like shown. We're not going to worry about creating funky 3D models. We're just going to spend a good 2 weeks just working on sketches, just 2D sketches like you see here. So what we'll do is we're just going to run through each sketch, and you'll see that the sketches start to get more and more complicated, and they start to get kind of hairy pretty quickly. So we're going to work on this first sketch. You know, I'd rather teach you by doing instead of lecturing for ages and ages. So you're going to click on Solidworks. Hopefully there's an icon on your screen. If there's not, you're going to find it here, like so, and this will open up. So this is the main Solidworks. So what are we going to do? We're going to click on File, New, and hopefully this new Solidworks document will open up. You have a choice between a part, an assembly, or a drawing. Okay, we're going to spend about 2 to 3 months just working on parts. Okay, so what you want to do, click on part and go OK. Okay, and this will open up. Now, this is the main ribbon. They call this a ribbon here. These are tabs. Now you're going to spend the majority of your time, about 90% of your time, or even 95%, just going between features and sketch. You know, very, very rarely do I go into these other 3 here. Features and sketch is all you need. So just go back and forth. This section here is called the feature tree. Now we'll get into that later. You have some icons here, and then you have other important icons here that we use an awful lot. So what do we do? The first thing you're going to do is you're going to click on Sketch. You're going to make sure you're in the Sketch tab, and you're going to create, we want to create a new sketch. So let's do that. And what does it do? It says if you want to create a sketch, you're going to have to either select a plane and wish to create a sketch for the entity. What happens with Solidworks is whenever it has any sort of dialogue, or once it needs more information, it takes the area of the feature tree and it goes, here's your message. So it's waiting for you to do something here. Now what you're going to do, whenever you create a new sketch, you're going to click on the front plane. Just accept that for a while. Okay, click on the front plane. And now look at, we have Y and we have X. And now we're in a 2D space. Okay, so let me press X and go don't save. Let's do it again. I click on new, forget that, new part. I click on sketch, and then I click on front plane. Alright, this is, you can see my Y and my X. You can see that it says front there, and you can see here what's going on here. This is the origin. Now notice, I want you to look here for a second here, okay? Notice that the approximate or the value that my pointer there is roughly around 3.5 inches in the X, and it's 0 in the Y. If I move it up there, it's 3.5 inches in the X and 3.5 inches in the Y. If I move it close to the origin, we get 0, 0, 0. Okay, so let's go back and have a look. What do we want to draw? We want to draw this T shape. It looks like a jackhammer. Alright, and I'm being lazy here and I'm not giving you units, but all of these units for the time being are in millimeters. Okay, so everything you see here are millimeters. Now, what's a quick way of changing? So down here, I'm just going to highlight here, it's saying that the units are inch, pound, second, American inches, American units. We like that. But what we're going to do is we're just going to switch this to be millimeters, like so. Okay? So there's a quick way of changing it. But the only issue is whenever you change the units, it makes you redo a sketch. So let's just redo it again. Sketch. Which plane do you want? We want it on the front plane. Hopefully I didn't confuse you too much there. Now, I'm going to, just for fun, I'm going to click on a line and I'm just going to create some lines. Like so. All I'm doing here is I'm using my left mouse button, and just notice how it snaps to the 90 degrees, 90. So that's going, hopefully you're going to like that. Okay, it snaps to 90, and I can move on, and all I'm doing is I'm drawing lines, and it keeps on going. If I press escape, it stops it. I'll do it again. I'm going to click on a line. I'm left clicking. Now what I'm doing here is I'm left clicking, but I'm letting go of the mouse. If I so I'm clicking, I've let go of the mouse, clicking, and so on. So make sure you can just draw lines like that. Press escape to stop doing it. Okay, so make sure you can do that. I'll pause the video and practice with that for a bit. I can click on a line and I can delete it. I'm clicking on a line with my left mouse button, and all I'm doing is I'm just deleting it. I'm hitting the delete key on the keyboard. Okay, like so. What else can I do? I can draw circles. Okay. I can click on a circle there, and that's its center point, and then I'm just dragging it out. And you're going, well, how come it's not asking for dimensions or measurements? We actually do that later. This is the nice thing about sketching. A rectangle. So it's a center rectangle. There's its center point, and I'm just dragging it out. Okay? Curves. Don't worry about trying to become an expert in any of this. Just practice drawing all this stuff. Do you know? A line. Let's draw an angular line. Okay. If I press Control A, it highlights everything, and then I can press delete. Now let's try it again. I'm going to draw a line. I'm going to bring it over here, snap to the horizontal, snap to the vertical, and let's see, can I complete. Now look at this. This is called object tracking. I haven't pressed a button there yet. And what I do is I bring it here and I just highlight below here. And what it will do is it will complete that square. I click and then I go up to there. Okay. Now, just to notice something, whenever I draw a horizontal line, this little green box pops up. Whenever I draw a vertical line, this little green box pops up. And these chaps are called relations. So just be aware of that. And, you know, if I have an angular line, there's no green box. But watch this. Okay, I had a nice vertical snap and a horizontal snap, and it does it. Now, right, so let's get down to business. How do I delete all of this? I can, okay, another thing. The middle roller ball on your mouse, if you roll it away from you, it goes away. If you roll it towards you, it comes towards you. You'll have to practice that. What am I'm zooming now at the moment, in and out. Zooming now. Let me see, how do I pan? I can't remember. How do I pan? Is it the Alt key? No. How do I pan? With Solidworks, I can't remember. Anyway, what am I doing? I'm zooming out, and notice wherever I put this mouse button, it zooms into there. I'm zooming out, and I want to zoom over here. So I put my cursor over here, and I zoom over here like so, in and out. Now, I'm gonna zoom out a little bit. I'm gonna put my cursor up here, and I'm gonna highlight all of this and let go. I'll do it again. I click. Now I'm actually holding it from this time, bringing it over across all the lines, and then I'm letting go, and then I'm hitting the delete key. Right, you're going to have these sketches printed out on a piece of paper, and it's going to be right in front of you. But what we're going to do is we're going to draw this jackhammer-y type shape. Now, so you want to make sure that you're in millimeters. I get myself a line, and I'm going to come over here. Now, just a couple of things you want to be watching out for. I'm going to press escape here. I'm moving a little bit too fast. You want to make sure that up here that it says exit sketch. Right now I'm in the process of creating a sketch. We're in sketch mode. If this says exit sketch, it means you're in sketch mode. Okay? So hopefully it says that. If it doesn't, and let's say you're out of sketch mode, what you might have to do is you're going to have to create a new sketch and go back to the front plane. Now this is a little step that confuses the shit out of people in my classroom, and you know, so we have to go over. We go over, and it kind of finally settles in. Anyway, now let's go back. Let's get down to business here. 50. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw a line. And I'm going to just start somewhere over here. And look at it. I want a line that's 50. And that line there is like 400. So let's get it close to 50. 53 will do. And I'm going to press escape. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to move that line just over to here. And I'm going to draw the rest of it. I'm going to zoom out. And I can't remember what it looks like, but I feel like it's something like this. Okay, now let's go back and have a look. Yeah, it's something like that. Now, what I could actually do is I can grab these lines and move these lines. Notice as I grab this line that it doesn't seem to move in the horizontal. It doesn't move anyway in that vertical because it has a vertical relation. I'm going a little bit ahead of myself there. I don't really go and confuse you too much. I can move those lines around the place like so. Now if you do something like this, I'm going to delete that for a second. Just keep looking. If you do something like, whoops, if you do something like this, what am I, hold on a sec, let's try this again. I'm going too fast. If you do something like this, and it's just not great. You know, what I want you to do is just delete it. Delete the whole thing and start again. The first thing I want you to do is get a line that's close to 50, around the ballpark of 50. And I want you to see if you can move it towards the origin. What we can also do is we can put a dimension on it. So I'll put a dimension on it, a smart dimension. I'm going to just click on the line, and I'm going to click here, and then I'm going to click there, and it's going to say, what do you want the dimension to be? I'm going to put in 50. Now, why am I doing this? I'm doing this because I want to be kind of in the ballpark. I don't want to draw a massive jackhammer and then have to scale it down because it gives us grief. You'll see what I mean. So this is kind of the line, the ballpark size of the jackhammer. There's 50, and then I'm zooming in with my mouse. And let's go back and have a look. And then I'm going to draw the rest of it. And I click on the line, and I'm waiting until I can snap to that end point. And then I'm going out of my way to snap to the vertical. And all I'm doing is I'm just sketching this. I don't care about the dimensions. What I'm concentrating on is getting those lines to be straight. Okay, I bring my cursor out and then I object track to that point. I don't want to go too far, I bring it back and then I come up. And once I have that, I don't have any extra lines in there that I don't need. If you have any extra lines, delete them. Once I have this, I'm going to start adding some dimensions. Now what is this guy? This is 5. So I'm going to put a 5 there. Okay. I'm going to put a 5 over here. All I'm doing is, you're probably thinking to yourself, well, that's a little bit obsolete, you know. But what I'm going to do is, I'm just trying to show you how to draw lines and add dimensions. We're not going to get too sophisticated too quickly. What else do I need? 25. Smart dimension. I click here and I'm pulling my dimensions away from the object. 25. 20. Oops, not 0. Hopefully I'm not going too fast for you. 20. Okay, what else do I need? Another smart dimension. I'll put one on this side of 20. This is 50. Now what's this guy? I think this is 10 here. So we have 10. So from there to there is 10. And what's this dimension? So from, okay, another thing, when you're putting in dimensions, always go from a line to a line. Never a point to a point. Now this is going to be 20. Okay. Now if this is 20 and that's 10, this is going to be 5. Okay. Now I have most of the dimensions I need there. This looks pretty good. It looks actually quite close to this. Okay. Now okay, let's have a look. Do we have everything? So here's my first sketch. I want you to notice a few things. We have the blue lines, we have the black dimensions, and we have the green relations. What are these things called? They're called relations. What does this say? It says that this line is always going to be horizontal. If I try and grab that point or try and grab that line and move that around, it always stays horizontal. If I click on that relation and press delete, and then I grab this point here, aha, I like relations. Now I can rotate it and do stuff with it. Okay, so how do I add a relation? I can click on the line, and on the right hand side here I have line properties, and I can add a relation. So I'm just going to add a horizontal relation there. Okay, now these lines are blue. And the reason that they're blue is Solidworks is telling you that these lines are they're underdefined. Okay, so we need to tie this into the origin. So there's your origin there, the 0, 0 point. I need to somehow tie this sketch into, that's not a good explanation. I need to lock it in somehow. I need to lock it into the X, Y, Z space. There's an awful lot of different ways of doing this, and one way I can do it is, I'd rather not tell you I'd rather just tell you the best way of doing it, and then you can learn. I can teach you the bad habits. What I'm going to do is I can pick either this line or this line, and I'm going to put it as a midpoint on that origin. It doesn't matter. I'm going to pick this line, and I'm going to hold down the control key because I want to select multiple things. And I'm going to click on the origin, and I'm going to click on midpoint. And what does it do? It makes this line always a midpoint to that origin, and notice how everything else is after going black. Now I know you're confused. I'll give you a little example. I'm going to delete some of these dimensions. Now notice as I'm deleting dimensions, stuff is going blue, okay, because it's underdefined now. So let's have a look. This line is black. It's completely defined because it's locked into the midpoint and it has a dimension. Okay. This line is part of it is black, but this part of it is blue because there's some dimension missing. Now I kind of don't want to get into this right now, but what I want you to do is I want you to remember two things. I want you to typically lock one of your horizontal lines to the midpoint of the origin. I'm going to keep on doing that. And the second thing is by adding dimensions and by adding the relations, we can make this fully defined. I know you're confused, but anyway, I'm going to keep going. So I'm going to make this 20. That goes black. I'm going to make the dimension of this line 20. That goes black. What else? Now, why is this, we want this to be 50, don't we? So let's make this 50. Okay. This is all, we need another dimension. What's this, 25? Is it 25, is it? Yep. This is 5. This is 5. Like so. Okay. Now notice how all of these lines went black, because they're all tying back to this original line. This line is locked in, and then we lock in this line because of the 20 the 20 dimension. This line gets locked in because of the 25, and then this line gets locked in because of the 5. Now if I remove this dimension, all of it goes blue because it's all underdefined. So let's put one back in. And remember, I'm going from line to line. Okay. Now, all of this is blue. I can grab it and I can move it. I can grab this line. It doesn't go anywhere because it doesn't have a choice. It's locked in by its dimensions. Now, if I make this dimension from that line to that line 5, it'll all go black because this line has a dimension out to there of 20 and the 50. So hopefully you're not too confused. But anyway, so that's the first sketch. So you're learning some new concepts, a fully defined sketch. You know what relations are, you have dimensions, and then you have the lines. This is just a sketch, okay? I would give you about nearly 20 minutes. There's a lot of steps, a lot of little idiosyncrasies that students need to get their head around, and little steps that they need to learn. So we can move on to the next sketch. So let's start this second one here. Okay, so hold on a sec. What does it look like? It's I don't know, an H, a sideways H with a rectangle in the middle of it. So what are we going to do? We're going to go back to Solidworks. I'm going to press X to get out of here. Don't worry about saving, we're just practicing. I go new part. I'm going to change, first I'm going to change this to be millimeters. I'm going to click on sketch. We're going to create a sketch on the front plane, and let's have a look. So we have, it looks like it's 80 by about 50 is the size of it. So let's go back and have a look. So I'm going to draw here how that's roughly 80, 85, 80. It's close enough. I'm just going to draw this H business. I'm going out of my way to use all those horizontal and vertical snaps. And then the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to get a center rectangle. And I'm going to lock the center of this rectangle in with the origin. And I'm going to draw that like so. Okay. Now, let's be careful here. So you'll notice I have two new relations. These are two midpoint relations on that rectangle. So let's go back and let's add some dimensions here. So I'm going to go from that line to there. I'm going to make that 80, and I'm going to have 50 from that line there to that line there is 50. Okay. I'm going to show you something new. I want the length of this line is 80 as well. Now I don't have to put in 2 dimensions and have to change 2 dimensions each time, but what I can do is this. I can make this line line up with that line, so wherever this line goes, this line will follow it. So how do I do that? I click on one line, I hold down the control key on my keyboard, I click on another line, and what do? I go collinear. Okay, now watch that. So wherever this line goes, the other line follows. I make this line, I hold down the control key, make sure that I select it, make sure I select the other one, and I'm going to go collinear. Now what's the length of this line now? The length of this line is 80 because it's the same as that one, because they're both tied in. Hopefully that collinear is a very useful relation. Now you know 4 types of relations. You know a midpoint. Let me see if I click on that. Does it tell me what type it is? If I just highlight over it, no. Excuse me for a second. Okay, this is a collinear. That's a horizontal. That's a vertical, and that's a midpoint relation. So now you know 4 of them, kind of. What else do I need to do? We have 10, 30, and 10. So let's do it. I'll do it on this side. 10, 30, and 10. Whoops, it doesn't like that. Why? It doesn't want me to do that because I have a 50 here. So the distance from there to there is 50. The distance from there to there is 10. The distance from there to there is 30. It already knows that this is 10. You're giving it an extra dimension. But what you can do is I can delete this 50 and I can add that 10 in there. What I was doing there is there was something called over-defining. I don't even want to get into it now for the time being. Okay, let's have a look here. What else do I need? I need a 15. So from that line to there is 15. What else? I need the 30 and the 20. So this here is 30 and that there is 20. Now notice how this rectangle goes black. Why is it going black? Because the center of it is locked into where the origin is, and it has all the dimensions that it needs. You know, so that rectangle there is fully defined. Okay, so I'm just going to pull these dimensions out and make it a little bit neater. Hopefully you're not too confused. And what's the dimension from there? So from there to there is 10, and from there to there is 10. Remember, I'm going from line to line. Always line to line. Okay, so I'm going to go from line to line again. I hope there was a little break there in the recording, so hopefully it's not too confusing. I'm just adding the dimensions like I was doing. What else am I missing? I know that this is 80, and I know that this is 50. So the distance from there to there and there to there is going to be 15. So let's put that in from line to line. Well, nothing I can do is, I'm pressing escape there, is I can just put a dimension in at that line. I'm going to make that 15. And all of these lines go black. Now, what I can do is I can grab this and I can move it. Okay, so that's not fully defined. Everything else is defined apart from the blue lines. So why isn't it? What I can do is it needs a dimension basically, or it needs a relation. I can put in a 10 there and it goes black. The other thing I can do is I can click on this line and click on that line, and I can make them collinear. So wherever the position of this line is, it'll be the same with that line. And I'm just going to do the same here as well. I'm going to make that collinear. Now, what else can I do here? My dimensions are kind of untidy. So what I can do is I can position them and make a kind of a little bit neater, so anyone else that has to work with your drawings or work with your parts, you know, everything is neat and it's organized. So, what do I want you to start thinking about? A fully defined sketch has all the dimensions that it needs. That's one thing. It's somehow tied into the origin. That's the second thing. And the third thing is it has relations, okay? If you have blue lines, some blue lines, you're missing dimensions or you're missing relations. Okay, that's the second sketch. So if you've something like I have here, or it's pretty close, we're in business, you know, you're going to have covered this in class, so I hope you're going to be fine with this. Okay, let's move on to the next one. So I'm going to press X and get out of here. I'm going to go don't save, and let's have a look at the next one. Can I get rid of this here? This stuff on the right hand side? I don't think so. Alright, let's look at sketch number 3. So the new stuff here that you're seeing is we have circles, and what we're going to do is we're going to keep all the units as millimeters, but what we're going to do is the origin is going to be that point right there. So we have two circles. The first circle has a diameter of 30. The second circle has a radius of 30, but its diameter is going to be 60. So we have two circles. Let's draw two circles first. We'll go new. You're not going to get that error. I've just screwed up my Solidworks on my computer. You're going to go part. You're going to go OK. We're going to change this to be millimeters. We're going to create sketch. Click on sketch. We're going to click on the front plane. I'm going to draw two circles. Okay, now I just want a normal circle. Notice how I can hit this drop down button and I can get different types of circles. I can click this drop down line, I get different types of line. So anyway, a normal circle. I'm going to lock its center point of the circle to the origin. And I'm just going to draw one there. I'm going to get a second circle and lock its center point. Now you're looking for that change of icon. I'm going to draw a second one. Now, the first one has a diameter of 30. So, I click on the edge of the circle and I'm placing my circle diameter out here. And what do I want? I want it to be 30, like so. And then I'm going to move this in a little bit closer. The next circle has a diameter of 60, like so. Now I don't like how that is dimensioning, so I'm going to delete that type of dimension and I'm going to go back and do a smart dimension. I'm going to pay a little bit more attention. I don't like that. I'm going to move it up a little bit and I'm going to get my typical circular you know, diameter leader type dimension line. That probably doesn't make any sense to you, but I like the way this looks. Now let's go back and let's have a look at this thing. These points here at 12 o'clock and at 3 o'clock and at 9 o'clock and at 6 o'clock are called the circle quadrants. We're going to start a line at that 3 o'clock quadrant. We're going to go south. We're going to come over and we're going to draw this. Now let's see if I can remember this. So we start there, we lock onto that quadrant, and I come down, I come over, I come up, and it's something like this. And then I come over, what is this called? This is called object tracking. So I go, I'm not clicking anything here, I'm zooming in, I'm just what am I doing? I'm hovering over that quadrant point. I'm not clicking anything. I'm kind of saying to SolidWorks, wakey wakey, I want you to remember this point. Now watch this. I'm driving along in my car and bang, it remembers that, and now I can object track up to that point. That's going to take a bit of practice. Okay? Now, even I can remember that this dimension here is 150. Now, I'm zooming in and out. I'm using that roller bar to zoom in and out around my sketch. That's also going to take a bit of practice. Now, what's this height here? 20, 5. I can remember the 20 and I can remember the 5. There's the 20. And I can remember this 5. I'm going to put that in there. Just line to line. Now, do you remember? Notice that this line lines up with that line. What is that called? Do you remember that? If I click on one line, I hold down the control key and then I click on the second line. What do I have here? I have horizontal, vertical, collinear. Collinear looks good. Let's try it. If I click on collinear and let's say it didn't work out, or it was something I didn't want, I want to undo it, I just press Control Z and that will undo it for me. Now another dimension we're missing here from what I can do, I can go from the line to the circle, and I can make that 40. Or I can just click on this line itself. That line there is 40 then. Okay? Now, we're missing one more dimension. 35, two more. 35 and 25. Pretty sure that one's 35. Maybe not. Yeah, and this one here is 25. Okay, what do? I tidy up my dimensions, make them nice and neat. You know, don't have them cramped in there amongst the... try and have them outside of the shape. Don't have them up against the line. Pull them out a little bit. Okay. Now, I have a circle here, and it goes all the way around, but in this example, it doesn't. It breaks. It's just a semicircle. So what do I need to do? If I click on that circle and I press the delete key, I lose the whole thing. So what do I do now? I press Ctrl Z to undo my screw up. The new word that you're going to learn is called trim. Now, if we drop down this, let's hold on a sec. Let's just click on trim. And there's 5 types of trim, 5 different ways of doing it. You only need to know one, and it's power trim. Okay? So make sure power trim is highlighted, and notice when I click that there is a little grey line. Wherever that grey line touches, I'm going all over the place. As soon as it touches that, it removes whatever is there. Now it removes between those. How come it doesn't remove the whole thing? Because it sees that there's an intersection there and an intersection there. Okay, so I've already set those intersections. So I go trim, and I start around here, and as soon as I cross that line, it gets rid of it. It cuts it away. It trims it up to where each of the intersections are, and that's what trim does. It removes a section of the line. Let me just show you that again. All right, so I could have, whoops, there's a line, and here's a circle. Okay, now let's say I want to get this bottom half away. I have an intersection there and an intersection there. So I'll get the trim, and watch this. It will just cut that, and it will do the opposite on the other side. Now what happens if I do it here? It'll just cut it up to where the intersection is, like so. Okay, so that's what trim does. You're going to have to practice that a little bit, but we'll keep on using it for the next couple of weeks. It's all fully defined. A couple of things. This new relation, that was automatically added. That's called a tangent relation. I'm going to get into that a little bit later, but what Solidworks will do is will automatically add relations sometimes, which can be a good thing, but it can also be a bad thing. This is a fully defined sketch. Why is it fully defined? If I try and grab a line or try and move it around, it's static. It will not move. It has enough dimensions, and it has all the relations that it needs. Okay? That's the third sketch. Okay, so we're starting to get somewhere. The fourth sketch. Now, you're probably thinking, when are we going to get into this three dimensions, these solids? Forget about it for a couple of weeks. You're going to have to just suck up the 2D realm for another little bit. So, what we're going to do is we're going to do this shape here. Okay, we're on sketch number 4. So I'm going to take this a little bit slowly and just kind of go over a lot of the stuff that I've kind of introduced. So what are we doing? We're drawing 2 circles. It looks like a grandfather clock kind of shape, and the only thing that's new is we have these little curves here, and 4 little curves. These are called fillets. They're little curves. You see them an awful lot in engineering. So what are we going to do? I'm going to press X to close this down. I'm going to go don't save, and I'm going to go new, a new part. Okay, sketch, create a new sketch, create it on the front plane, and let's go back here and have a look. So what are we going to do? We're going to draw both of these circles, the diameter 60 and the diameter 90, radius 45 but a diameter of 90, and they're going to be locked into this center here. So this is going to be our origin. Oops, let's try that again. Okay, now what's happening here? I'm trying to draw something and I'm in inches. So let's delete that. Let's swap this inches to be metric, and then we're going to have to create a new sketch again on the front plane. So what is that? Radius. Let's just draw two circles, and they're going to be locked into where that origin is. The center point of the circle is going to be locked into the origin. Now I can't remember what it was. 60 and 90. So this is that a diameter of 60, and this is going to be a diameter of 90. Now again, I don't like the way that thing is dimensioning, so I'm going to delete it and I'm going to redo it. Not like this, but like this. There we go. I'm a bit anal. I'm sorry. Obsessive compulsive. You actually need to be a little bit when you're drafting anyway. Anyway, diameter 60 and diameter 90. Now, there we go. Now we're going to work from these quadrants again, and I'm going to draw the rest of it. I'm going to draw this in, and I'm going to add in the fillets later. So let's zoom out a little bit. Let's lock into this origin. Come down, over, and it looks something like this. And all we're doing our very best to get those. Now, what happens if I'm after screwing up a little bit? I can also grab that point and I can just move it over like so. And I'm going to draw a line down from this quadrant. I'll move it down, and I'm going to stop when an object tracks to that point, like so. And then what am I going to do? Then I'm going to grab this point, and I'm just going to drag it over, and I'm just going to merge them two together. Now watch this. Now I grab this, and now there is one. Okay. So we kind of have a pretty okay sketch. We got to start adding some dimensions now. If you've screwed up parts of it, just highlight it and delete it. Now I want to show you something here for a sec. I'm zooming out a little bit, and I'm coming up here, and I'm going from the left to the right. Notice how the box is blue, and then I'm going from the right to the left. Notice that the box is green. Okay, so let's try this. If I'm here and I start here and I move over, notice that it's a blue box. Now what is it going to highlight if I let go? With a blue box, it highlights anything that is totally within the blue box. So what it's going to do is it's going to highlight these two circles and these two lines. Now let's try it again. And I let go. It just highlights whatever's in the box. Now let's try it here. What is it going to highlight? It's going to highlight the three lines, the two vertical lines and the bottom horizontal line, like so. What about here? What's it going to highlight? What's it going to highlight? It highlights nothing. Okay, so that can be kind of useful. You can go in there and you can highlight certain things. Now watch this. That's going from left to right because it's blue. Now if I go from right to left, it's green. The thing with green is it'll highlight whatever touches the green box. Now what is it going to highlight in this? It's going to highlight the two circles and the vertical line, like so. Okay, I'm going from left to right. I'm going from right to left. It's green. Whatever touches the green box is what it's going to highlight. That's very important. It's very, very useful. Now let's go back. So we got the 70 and we got the 20. So the 70 goes to this bottom line, and then the 20 brings it up. Excuse me. So I don't like going from point to line. I'd rather go from a line to a line. So I click on the outside of the circle, I click on this line. Now is it being cheeky with me? Let's try that again. There we go. So we want this to be 70. And we want this line, from that line to that line, we want that to be 25. Now let's have a look. Are we right? 20. Okay. Now what am I going to do? I don't want to have to put in another 20 dimension here. Now why is that? Because when you get really good at Solidworks, what you're going to be doing is you're going to be drawing up all these parts, and you're going to show them to your boss, and you think you're done, and your boss is going to say, I like that, John, but I want you to change this, 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 and this. You're going to have 100 things to change. Now, if I have to change this shape, and I want to, let's say he says, or the boss says that this part isn't thick enough, and it's going to break. If I have to change this 20, then I have to also change that 20. Let's say I have to make this 25. Also going to have to change this to be 25. Now, there's a chance that you'll forget that. It would be nice if we could set this up that whatever thickness changes here, it's going to change it on the other side. So we use relations. You want to make your model smart, and you want to make things to be easily modifiable, if that's even a word. Now, I'm going to click on this line, hold down the control key, and click on this line, and I'm going to go collinear. I'm going to click on that line and this line and make them collinear. You like that? Let's go back and we'll change that to be 20. And notice how it changes. Now, what do we have? We have 250 from that edge to that edge there. Excuse me. So I'm going to go from that line to that line, and I'm going to make that 250, like so. And it's after cramping that a little bit, so I'll just grab that line and move it over. Now, why is this still moving? Okay, it's still moving because it's not related to the origin. And I'm going to show you a better way of doing this, but I want you to just suck this up for now. What we're going to do is we're going to put a dimension in from that line to the center point. And instead of clicking on the center point, I'm just going to click on the circle, and it will lock to that center point anyway. And what are you going to do? We're going to make this 125. Okay? And that 125 locks that line in, and then it locks that line in. I want you to start thinking about this whole concept of a fully defined sketch, and why are your lines turning black? Why are they doing that? Now, what else do we have? We have a little dimension here of 3. So I'm going to put a dimension in from that line. Remember, line to line, and let's put this in as 3. Now, what else are we missing? 25. And again, I'd have to put another 25 on this side, but what I can do, I can make the length of this line equal to the length of that line. How do I do it? Again, how do I add a relation? I click on one line, hold down the control key, click on another line, and what do I have? They're already collinear. I don't want them to be perpendicular. They're already parallel, maybe equal. Let's try equal. And what it does is if I change that to be 50, look what it does on the other side. That makes things easy. So these relations are nice. Now, let's go back to this section of the circle is trimmed away. So, I go to trim. I like my power trim. And I just start over here and I start cutting it. Now, I could start on the other side, and it just cuts it away. So that's what trim does. Now, are we missing anything? We're missing the fillet. Now, where is that? I can't see it anywhere. It must be here somewhere. Where is it? It's right there. Sketch fillet. What does it do? It rounds the corner at the intersection of two sketch entities. Now, you see it an awful lot in engineering because you're going to be making these metal or these plastic parts, and we don't want all these sharp edges to be cutting on people's hands. So what you'll do is you will corner those sharp edges. Okay? Now, what is the fillet in this? The fillet size is a radius 4 typical. That means wherever you see a fillet or a radius, it's 4. So what do? We put it in here. Fillet parameters is 4. Notice how I have a pin here. I'll go back to that now in a second. And I zoom in. I'm going to go from that edge to that edge, and I'm going to go OK. Alright. I have the pin keeps this visible. I go from that edge to that edge, and I go OK. And then I go from that edge to that edge, OK. Now if I get rid of this pin here, look what it does. If I do one of them, bang, bang, line to line, sorry, and I go OK, it just goes away, but sometimes you have to do multiple fillets. Now there they all are. We have 4 fillets. Now you're probably, how can we, I don't know, is there a way that we can actually make them equal? Now, but let's try it. If I click on that curve and that curve, can I make them equal? That's nice there, that's good. Okay, so we'll do that. Let's delete all those dimensions and click on the curve, zoom in here, click on this curve, we'll make it equal. I'm doing lots of zooming in and out here with my roller ball. I'm holding down the control key and I'll make that equal. Now look what happens. Let's say your boss says that fillet isn't big enough, it needs to be bigger. I can click on one of them now and I can change one of them and it will change them all like so. Okay? So what is this? This is originally 4. Let's have a look at this. What have we just shown you there? I'm after going over trim. I'm after showing you sketch fillet. Everything is black because it's fully defined. Let's say you're very, very proud of this and you want to save it. How do we save it? What you're going to do is, when you're going to, on your computer or on your workstation in the college there, you're going to have a directory or a network location. It's going to be I think it's the H drive in the computer on your workstations in the lab. Anyway, what are we going to do? I want you to right click and I want you to create a folder wherever you actually want to save it, and you're going to call this ENT260 space Solidworks. Okay, and in there we're going to have lesson 1. I want you to have lots of directories, lots of folders. I want you to be organized. Now let's go back here and I'm going to go exit sketch and I'm going to go file, save as. Now a SolidWorks file, the SolidWorks file extension is .sldprt. It's a SolidWorks part. And what are we going to call this? We're going to call it something logical. We're going to call this lesson 1 part 4. And that's it. You're after saving your work. So I close it down. I'm going to go open. And there it is. Okay? That's it. Okay. Let's show you the next one. So we're done with that. This is a bit of a beast. So this one's going to be interesting. I need to have a bowl of cornflakes before I move on. Okay. Okay. What are we on now? We're on sketch number 5. So let's give it a lash. My feeling is we need to decide where the origin is in relation to this shape, and you could put it anywhere. You could put it there at that point. You could really put it anywhere, but the logical place would be either at the center point of this curve or the center of the 2 circles. What I'm going to do, there's a kind of a reason for it. I'm not going to. There's a kind of reason for it. I want to show you these tangent lines later. So what we're going to do is we're going to start here, right there. That's where our origin is going to be, and I'm going to draw a full circle. Now the full circle diameter is, can you tell me what it is in your heads? It's the 60 minus the 40, so it's 20 from there to there. So we need a circle with a diameter of 20. So let's start with that. So let me just move this guy over here and let's start. So what do? We go new, part, okay. We change this to be millimeters. We create a new sketch and we put it on the front plane. So there are your steps. I'm going to get a circle and I'm going to lock it into the origin, the center point to the origin. And what is the diameter going to be? So its diameter is going to be 20, and we have that. Okay, let's go back. So at the 12 o'clock quadrant we're going to come out and we're just going to draw on this bit of a line like so. And I'm just going to sketch it in. So I'm going to lock into that 12 o'clock quadrant though. And I'm just going to bring it out and come up and come over. I'm not worried about the dimensions. I'm just sketching it out. I'm going to do the same over here. I'm going to lock to this quadrant. I'm going to come over and down like so. Now what relations can I add kind of quickly that would make life easy for me? In this drawing, this line and this line, when I say drawing, I'm probably kind of trying to confuse you. I should be using the proper terminology. In this sketch, this line and that line are collinear. So let's do that. I click on one line, hold down the control key, click on the second one, excuse me, and I click on collinear, and it adds the relation. Now if I grab one of them, they both travel together. And I know that this dimension here is 20, and if you want to show off, I click on this line and that line, and we'll make them equal as well. Okay. And let's look at the distance from here to that line is 20. So I'm just working through it. What I'm doing with something complicated though is, you might have seen me before, I'll draw the entire shape out and then I'll add it. I feel like with something a little bit hairier, I like to build it up slowly. So I'll draw sections of it in and I'll add dimensions and kind of build it up in baby steps. That's kind of how I work myself, and it seems to work. So I'm going to add from the circle out to the edge. I'll make that 20, like so. Now what's next? Let's trim this bit of it away. Power trim, and we just get rid of that chop. Now, before we draw those angle lines in, let's get the circle that's over here. Now, I'm just going to put that circle in. I'm actually going to put it, and I'm going to put it out away, and I'm not going to even line it up. So I want to show you something. What is the size of this chap here? It's the circle says radius 10, but the full circle is going to be a diameter of 20. That's kind of hard. I don't know if I explained that well. So I'm not explaining it well. Whenever you have a full circle, 360 degrees, you always have a diameter symbol. Whenever you have anything that's less than a full circle, it will always give a radius. Now hold on. But what we're doing here is we're drawing the full circle in, and then we're trimming it. So we need to put in a diameter of 20. So let's do that. A diameter of 20. That's another. So I have the diameter of 20 on my circle, and that's another issue that students have a little bit of trouble with, is this whole concept of radius and diameter. So the diameter is just twice the radius. You know, hopefully you've covered that in high school. Now, what do I need to do? I need to line up this. If we go back to the, if I go back to this, you can see that this circle here is lined up there across the horizontal. So how do I do that? I can click on the center point of that circle. I can hold down the control key and click on that origin or the center point of that circle, and I can make them horizontal to each other. So I try and grab the circle and move it, and it's locked to that horizontal. Now, what is the dimension from, whoops, let's zoom out here for a bit. What is the distance from that point to that point there? It's 60. So it's the 80 minus the 20. So I'll click on this circle, and I'm going to click on that circle, and what does it do? It gives me the dimension from the center point to the center point. That's what it does. And I'm going to make that 60, like so. Now watch this. Let's get the last thing in, the 40. So let's get the 40 dimension in before I show you the tricky bit. 40. I'm going to make this line, and that line equal to one another. And notice how everything is turning black, because I'm slowly building it up. We want a fully defined sketch. Now, these lines, I have an angular line that has a tangent relation to the circle. What does that mean? It means it touches it at just one point. Now, so let's go back and have a look at this. If I go from there to there, is that what they want? What they want is has a perfectly smooth transition. Okay, there's no break there like I have. Okay, so this is not a perfectly smooth transition. What they want is something that looks like this. It just touches that circle at one place. Okay, so how do you do it? You can if you kind of are careful with it, you can kind of move it along the circle and notice how that line, that icon changes. It's not tangent. Now it is. Okay, but what it does is it's still not. So what we're going to do is we'll do this. We're going to draw the line starting there, and I'm actually intentionally I'm going out of my way not to get anywhere near that tangent point. And all I want to do is I want a coincident point. What the hell does that mean? Now I have a coincident relation there. That means that the line will touch the circle. Okay, now watch it. Okay, that's a coincident mate. Okay, I'm grabbing that point and I'm just moving it around. Okay? So that means that the end of that line will always touch the edge of that circle. That's called coincident. And that's what I want. And then once I have that, I click on the circle, I hold down the control key, and I click on the line, and then I come over here and I can add a tangent relation. Okay? So what I have two relations now. I have a coincident relation and I have a tangent relation. Like so. So let me do that again. So I start over here, I lock onto that point, I go out of my way to kind of keep away from the quadrant points to lock that in, and the tangent point. I'm just getting a normal coincident mate, and then I check it and I know that it moves around. Then I click on the line, hold down the control key, and then I click on the circle and I click on tangent, and now I have a tangent mate, or a tangent relation. I'm sorry. Now that's going to take a bit of practice, and I know I'm going to have to help you with that, but that's no big deal. Now what's next? I'm going to trim this bit of a circle away, and now I have that edge. And what are we missing here? We're missing this little hole that's there, and the hole has a diameter of 12. Okay, so what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to click here and I'm going to lock into that point right there, and then I'm just going to draw this in, and then I'm going to add its dimension. And what is it? It's the diameter of 12, like so. So that's pretty tricky. Now what are we missing here? The only thing we're missing are these four holes, and for some reason or another, there we go. So we have the dimensions of 30 and 10, and what else? 10. I don't think they're actually giving us that one. Diameter 10, 4 places. So watch this. What I'll do is I'm going to draw in just 4 circles. One, I'm just sketching them in there, just throwing them in. Okay? And there's no dimensions on them or anything. I'm going to click on the edges of them, one edge, and I'm going to hold down the control key, and I'm going to select them all. And what am I going to do? I'm going to click on equal. Alright? And then I'm just going to dimension one of them up. Diameter 10. And what happens? They're all 10 now. I like that. Okay. Now, the dimension from there to there is going to be 10. Right? And notice when I grab the center of this circle, it doesn't move. It only moves to the left and to the right because it's missing a dimension. What I'm going to do is, I don't have to put in another 10 for this guy. I'm going to make the center of that and the center of that what? Horizontal. And it will lock them in. I'm going to make the center of this and the center of that horizontal to one another. I'm going to make this point and this point vertical, and this point and that point vertical. Now what are we missing? We're missing this 10 here. So I'm going to go from that edge to the center, and I'm going to make that 10, and that guy lines up as well. Now this circle goes completely black. It has nowhere to move. It's fully defined. Okay? All of these other lines have already been predefined. We've done that. And once you lock into those edges, it's going to lock this in. If I delete that equal relation, it's blue again. Why is it blue? Because it's missing a dimension. So what I can do is I'll just go back and I'll make it this one equal to that. I have a feeling you're probably getting a bit confused with this fully defined sketch. Hopefully you're not, but if you are, we're just going to keep on working through it, and hopefully the penny will drop. But this concept of a fully defined sketch is critical. It's extremely important. Now, what dimension are we missing here? We're missing the 30. So we go back. I'll go from there to there, and we make that 30, and that goes black. Now, why are these two blue? Let's grab one of them. I'm missing a dimension. So what is it? I need to click on this edge to the center of the circle, and I'll give it the 10 that it needs. And now it all goes black. What else can I do here? It's a fully defined sketch. Let's just clean up your dimensions, tidy up your dimensions a little bit, and make sure that they're not rubbing up against each other, and let's give them a little bit of space. That's a pretty tricky sketch. So you can see why I just stick with 2D for a couple of weeks. You know what I mean? Really, there's enough confusion with these tangent relations and trimming and fillets and so on. So that's it. That's the second sketch. Okay, so what's the next one look like? Sketch number 6. So we have only two sketches left, sketch 6 and sketch 7. Typically it takes about a full class. It might take us 3 or 4 hours to actually get through all of these, and then you're going to have homework to do as well. So let's go through sketch number 6. Alright, let's have a look. What do? I create a new part. I change this to be millimeters, and let's have a look. I'm going to create a new sketch on the front plane. Now let's go back and have a look at this thing here. Where do you want to put the origin? Where is the origin going to be in this sketch? A good place will be right there. So let's draw. This isn't a very good example, but let's keep going with it. We have 25, and we have diameter 25, and we have a radius of 15. So 25 and 30. Okay. So I'm just going to draw 2 circles really quick, and I've locked both of them into that origin. Now what is it? The first one is going to be 25, and the second one is going to be 30. Let's move them in a little bit. Why have both of these circles gone from blue to black? They've gone from blue to black because both of them are fully defined. The center point is locked into the origin, and they have a dimension, so they go black. So let's get these 2 lines here now, the 25. So I'm going to lock into the, the 9 o'clock quadrant. Press escape, and I'll lock into the 3 o'clock quadrant. And watch this, I'm going to highlight both of them like this, and I'm going to just make them equal. Okay, I'm going to click on Smart Dimension, zoom in, and make this 25. Okay, why are both of these locked in? Because we locked them into that quadrant. We've given them a dimension. If I try and grab them and move them, they won't go anywhere. Now, what is this? This is like an upside down Y. So let's see if I can draw this out. So we're just going to sketch this bit of it. Okay, what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to make this a little bit crooked. I'm going to intentionally mess with this. It looks something like that. I know it's not right. But what can I do? I can make let's have a look. These 2 are parallel, and these 2 are parallel. So let's start with that. Let's make you and you. I'm holding in the control key. I know I'm going a bit fast now. I'll make those 2 parallel. I'll click on that, hold down the control key, click on that, make them parallel. Okay. I'll make this guy, that line horizontal. I'll make, let's have a look, go back. this is 90 degrees and that's 90 degrees, 90 and 90. So I'll make that perpendicular. Oh yeah. Let's watch that just for a sec. Okay, I see what the problem is, because this we automatically put this vertical relation in, so let's delete it. I'll highlight both of those and I'll make that perpendicular. There we go. Highlight both of those lines and make them perpendicular. Highlight both of those, make that perpendicular, and make that perpendicular. Okay. Now we know that that's 12.5, and we know that that's 12.5. So we'll get a smart dimension. Okay, it's not that. It's not that type of dimension. Let's get it right. It's an aligned dimension. So it's not a vertical or horizontal. It's aligned. We'll make that 12.5. We'll make this line and that line equal. Okay. So I feel like we need an angle here. I feel like there's an angle missing. Okay, we have 135. Okay, an angle. So I get a smart dimension. I click on one line, I click on the other line, and that allows me to put an angle in between them. Okay, so this angle is 135 degrees, and an angle from there to there. So hopefully you've done a bit of geometry in high school, and you're not learning a lot of this from scratch, because that would be tough. Now we have a dimension here of 60 from the center point down to that point. So from there, I'm clicking on the edge of the circle, and I'm bringing this over and getting a nice vertical dimension of 60. And it's the same with this. So if I click on that point, I hold down the control key and I click on that point, and I make them horizontal, that lines up. Now I feel like there's a dimension missing on our original drawing, because we don't know what the height of this is. So I'm just going to make it 40. I'm going to make it from the center of there to there. We're just going to make it 40. It's actually missing a dimension. I've been teaching this class for like 5 years. You think one of these days I'd actually put it in, but there you go. Too much. 35. There it is. 35. Let's bring the dimensions in a little bit closer. Okay. What else are we missing? We need to trim this bit of it away. I click on the trim button. I have power trim selected. I just trim that bit of it away. That's a fully defined sketch. It has all the dimensions it needs. It's pretty good. It has all the relations. I want to show you something else though. Let's say I put in a dimension, I don't know, from that point, that line to this point, and it's 25, and I'm going to just plot it there, and I'm just going to go, okay, no, let's do that a bit slower. I'm going to go from a dimension from that line to that point, and it says, and this thing comes up, you see all these yellow things coming up here. What's happening here is you're adding too many dimensions. It doesn't need it. Why doesn't it need it? It already knows that the distance from that point back to the origin is 60, and from that line to the origin is 35. So it knows that the distance from there to there, it can compute it, it's 25. So there's no need to add it. So what you want to try and do is, you don't want to over dimension your sketches. Now how do you know I'm over dimensioning? It'll go red or it will go yellow. You'll see something like this, I don't know. Okay, so it'll go yellow, or if I go from there to there, it'll go yellow. It doesn't need it. You're over dimensioning your sketch. If you do something with a relation, let's do this. How can I do this? I'm trying to intentionally screw with it. It's kind of tricky. If you have relations that are going red or relations that are going yellow, or if you have red and yellow colors, you want to delete them, and you want to figure out why you're over dimensioning. You have to think about it a little bit. With my experience, that I just think the more sketches you draw, it becomes instinctive, you know. So I don't spend too much time in it. I like to practice as many of them as possible, and I think I think you finally gain the concept of an over-defined or a fully defined sketch. So that's, what one is that? That's sketch number 6. Okay, we have one more to go, and it's sketch number 7, and then you would be done for the evening. Okay, so I'll exit out here. I'm not going to save it. You can save yours if you want to, and let's create a new part. I changed the units right off the bat, and I'm going to go sketch, and I'm going to put it on the front plane. Okay, and we can draw whatever we want, but let's go back and have a look. So where is a good point on this sketch to put the origin? Where do you want the origin to be? My feeling is I just want to put it right here, right at the bottom right hand corner. Okay, and then so what we want to do, what's the plan of action? I don't know what this thing looks like. It looks like some sort of an iron, to be quite honest with you, but you know, an iron with all these little curves. We're going to draw everything in, and we're going to add in these fillets last. So let's see if we can draw this thing. I'm going to draw a line, and let's just have a look here. So 30, I need to remember that number 30. I'm going to start there, and I'm going to come up. If I don't need 164. All I need is about 40 is even close enough. Something in the ballpark, and it looks something like this, and then it comes down. And let's see, am I even right? If I can remember, yeah, that looks about right. Something like that. That's not going to work. So let's get in there, and I can move these lines. Now I'm after automatically adding a relation there. Okay, what I'm after doing by not paying attention to it, I'm after saying this line lines up with that origin, and that's not going to work. So I delete the line. Let's move it up a little bit, and let's put in another ledge. And now you can come over. Okay, forget about the fillets for the time being. I'm going to have, let's add in some dimensions. Let's add in the 30, and let's add in the 25. So I go smart dimension, and let's add in from there to there, line to line, never point to point, 25. This is going to be 20, and that's going to be 5. Do you see, we kind of got into the ballpark of it, but it's not. We're not even really close to the right scale. The thing is a lot smaller than I was drawing it. So what am I doing there? Before I start drawing a lot of the sketch, I want one line to be relatively close, that I'm kind of close to the scale of the actual object. You'll see what I mean when you're drawing massive shapes and then you have to scale them down. Now, 16, 10, and 4. Whoops. So from there to there is 16. From there to there is 10. From there to there is 4. And let's go back and have a look. 44, 36, 22. Now, I'm after doing something there, and that's good. I actually did that by accident. I need to talk about this. I'm after exiting out of the sketch. Okay, so there's no point in putting dimensions on this thing now. I'm not in sketch mode anymore, believe it or not. And notice in my feature tree, I have a sketch there. I need to get back in there, and I need to edit this sketch. I'm after screwing up. How can I do it? I can actually click on one of those lines and double click it. No, it actually doesn't work. Okay, that's new. The other thing I can do is I can come on over here. I can right click on the sketch and forget about all of this. The only button you need to know is at the top left hand corner, edit sketch. Okay, now I'm back in sketch mode. How do I get out of sketch mode? You can click exit sketch, or you can, and then you need to right click here and go edit sketch to get back in. Now, what was it? 44. From there to there is 44. Now I need to grab this and move this over, and same with him. It's 36. From there to there is 36, and then 22. Bang, there to there, 22. Okay, it's all fully defined. I need to add in my fillets. Now what size are the fillets? They're 1.5, and I have one there, and one there, and one there. 1.5, okay. There's only 3 of them. Yeah, only 3 of them, okay. I click on fillet, I go 1.5, I'm going to go from you to you, I hold down the pin, I'm going to go OK, and from there to there, I'm clicking on the lines. What this yellow thing is telling you is it's just a preview. It's telling you what it's going to look like, and that looks good to me. And then I'm going to make it from there to there. Okay. What else can I do? You can show off, and you can delete these 2 dimensions. We're going to make this, I'm holding down the control key to select multiple things, and I'm going to make them all equal. And now, then they go black again. So let's bring our sketches in our dimensions in a little bit closer. You're in the business of neatness now. And that's it. That's the last sketch. What things do you need to practice? You're going to have homework to do, and there's going to be nothing new. You're going to see nothing new, but you're going to practice drawing lines, adding some basic relations. You're going to add dimensions. You need to have some concept of a fully defined sketch. You're just drawing 2D sketches, adding dimensions, make them neat. You need to know how to trim. You need to know how to add fillets. Make sure for next week you have Solidworks installed on your machine if that's what you want to do, okay? Or you're going to have to come into the lab and work in the open labs, which is no big deal. That works just fine too. That's it. That's all the sketches for lesson number 1. Lesson number 2 next week is going to be a step up. We're going to be doing sketch modifications, and I'm going to introduce you to some 3D stuff. Okay, that's it, and I hope you're keeping well.